Hey you guys, I'm going to just go ahead and start this live off um, by just sharing my screen with you guys. So, and an FBI disclosure, because if you haven't heard of this, you're going to need to hear of it for us to have this conversation. So federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use and is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. Hey, DJ Moss. So I don't know if you guys have heard of this white woman who went to Uganda and was killing and deforming children. She was calling herself a missionary. I'm going to go ahead and just play this little blurb. This is why I gave the copyright disclaimer, so that you guys can be familiar with what's going on, and then we're going to just get into the discussion. So let me go ahead and see if I can make this a little bit bigger, and we'll watch it together.
Part of my enchantment with it initially was just that it's so different. You know, I come from a really small town. She grew up here in Bedford County. She says meeting people in Africa who live with so little, have so much joy and happiness, was intoxicating. That sailor, she's almost 8. Bob first laid eyes on her when she was just 10 days old. My goal initially was to find her biological mother and reunite her. Her biological mother was young and passed away a few months later. I think it just was so clear that she had been my daughter all along. The mother-daughter duo continued the quest for Bach's mission, curing malnutrition. She started serving his children in 2009. The nonprofit has inpatient and outpatient programs and is partnered with the government of Uganda.
Okay, so this is a white woman who started an organization called Serving His Children, and the organization is still running, okay, which I think is pretty crazy. This organization is still running despite the fact that this woman has killed at least 100 children that we know of. And there are parents coming forward saying that their children aren't dead, but their children are severely damaged because she was pretending to be a doctor. So let me just go ahead and break down the story for you. You can also check it out in the description box. Basically, she was a missionary. She is being accused of lying about being a medical professional while treating children in Uganda. After more than 100 children died at her facility. She started this program in 2007. She left the States with her Black adopted daughter, went to Uganda, and proceeded to basically murder children. That's going to be my premise. Okay, I'll say allegedly if I have to, but I literally think that this woman was just out murdering children. And I'll get into the why of what I think about that, but I'm going to go ahead and let him speak on it first. So what are your thoughts on this lady and her excursions in Uganda killing children?
My thoughts that are it's just a reification of Black bodies being exposed, right? It's just a long stream of these type of things happening. Well, let me back up. First and foremost, I think that, and I don't mean to make light of it, but I think she may have had this type of affinity with the game, operations, and tried to, play it out on real life people, disposable people in her eyes, in the eyes of the people who let her do this. Like I said, I don't want to steal your thunder, but again, this was allowed to happen. So again, I just look at this as, this is just what they do with Black people, whether they're within the continent, or whether they're, um, part of the diaspora. It doesn't matter. Black bodies are always seen to be disposable. And so that's like my initial take on it, because, when we had our initial conversation, I was just like, okay, yeah. And, so this white savior, this paternalism, that, white folks' ice is always cooler, right? And a lot of people go along with that. I mean, the fact that she wasn't, vetted or even questioned about her even appearing in these types of, really specialized operations, right? And the fact that she allegedly was accompanied by, trained physicians, that she was allowed to be a participant. And I just don't know where that happens. If you're not an intern, if you're not in medical school, I just don't see how you would have access to, this type, how would you be privy to this? How would you be even able to operate when you don't even have the acumen, outside of just playing operation and hearing the buzz go off several times? Because that must have been the case if she's responsible for 100, 100, right?
At least
Yes,
100.
at least that we know of, right? And so, yeah, you know, of course, you and I, we were listening to a video on Al Jazeera, and we know the opposite. If we juxtapose situations, that wouldn't be able to happen. So a Ugandan black woman would be able to come over to America and kill several white kids, right? Or have that lead to their death, or continuously perform this type of malpractice, right? Or in order to go to Europe and do this, that would have been stopped. She would have been in prison or in jail a long time ago. So for me,
Yeah, she's not in jail, y'all. This woman has killed at least 100 children, but I'm guessing probably more. Just 100 that they know about. Maimed many others, countless others. And her nonprofit is still running, still partnered with the Ugandan government, and she's not in jail. That's
yeah,
insane.
yeah, but in Uganda has to take some accountability in this too, because oftentimes I'm talking about black folks, we sacrifice our babies, we sacrifice each other because there may be some type of financial reward associated with having this white organization, this white mercenary come in, and it looks good politically, right? But again, we're not looking at this altruistically. I mean, there are babies that are dead. There's babies still are ill and they may die because of her maltreatment. That just can't be the case, but it is. And no one has even batted an eye. And as fact, a lot of people have caped for her, saying, oh well, this is when people are doing these things, going out and try to be missionaries. I had it right the first time, mercenaries, right? But missionaries and coming out to do these type of things, a lot of people say, well, often people don't do that. And so we don't want to interrupt or dissuade people from doing this type of work.
Yeah, we do, because these white people going out to Africa,
but if they're killing people, yes, we do. You know what I mean? But again,
no, I mean just white people in Africa, period, are problematic. Like they just need to stop going.
well,
Like, let the continent sink or swim. Like, but
well,
not their
here's the other here's the other side of that. And I'm in a place geographically where it tends to happen a lot, and some people may take offense with this. But here's the reality: I think, not all, but I definitely think there's a lot of white people that adopt black kids, especially Africans, because I think they think it's in vogue. I think they think it's cute. Again, not saying that about all of them.
It's like getting an exotic pet. Those people that buy those weird
Exactly.
cats and
And
stuff like
again,
that, but it's like a person.
exactly.
It's
And we've
like
heard
modern-day slavery, but legalized. And
well, and we've heard a lot of horror stories about how, some young males have been emasculated. Some have like really been treated, you know, as if they were slaves because they're, kind of like in servitude. They're doing a whole lot of manual labor. Again, those are some of the examples. Again, I'm not saying this of everyone, but it does beg the question, why is that happening? And again, when we look at, these orphanages and we look at the people that can adopt, oftentimes, of course, like with anything else, they have preferential treatment as far as adopting.
you know what? Now that I'm thinking about her organization, her nonprofit, I think she released a statement because the nonprofit released a statement kind of making it like these kids died of malnutrition, but she like murdered these kids. And I'm going to say she murdered them because a lot of people are saying like accidents happen and things like that, but you don't accidentally kill 100 children. It's not like they all died at one time. This was like her killing people over a period of time. So you might accidentally kill one child. Right, but you don't accidentally kill 100 children.
Well,
And
let's
the
just
fact
stop.
that she's
Well,
not in jail.
let's just think about it. So she went there originally for, to try to help these babies with their with malnutrition, right? And so if you're not a doctor, right, if you have no medical acumen, then you would talk to somebody and try to see what type of food, what type of resource, what type of substance can I make sure I'm trying to get in order to curtail or end this malnutrition? What can I do?
But
You know
you're
what I mean?
acting like she went there with good intentions. I don't
Well,
believe that she went there with good intentions. She seems like a weirdo to me. Like, we watched the little clip of her. She's gone off. I believe she probably stole that child because I'm going to tell you something. There are white families here in the United States who have children that they have adopted who are not orphans, who have parents. So I'm not going to put anything
this
past
is
this woman
true.
at this point
This
because
is true.
she's talking about, I was hoping to find the girl's mother, and all of a sudden now she's got a black daughter. And after she has her black daughter, that she, in my eyes, I wouldn't doubt if she just stole this child, because we know that this happens where they take children who really have parents from Africa and they basically sell them to American citizens and in European citizens. This is something that's been reported on. Y'all can research that. That's like a whole nother conversation. And when I look at it through the lens of that, she was like, I was just hoping to find the girl's mother. So you just found a random child, kept her, and then you were hoping to find the girl's mother, and the girl's mother was young and XYZ, and now she has a black daughter from Africa. And then she starts an organization. She starts a nonprofit and then takes her black daughter that I feel she very likely stole and goes back to Africa and then proceeds to kill black children in Africa, and then is able to keep her organization, leave the country she's in, leave Uganda, and not end up in jail, even if she was arrested here in the States. Like, why isn't this woman in jail? I don't think she went there with good intentions. I think she went there to flex and to be evil. Like, I honestly do. I think that she's deranged in the mind somewhere, that she has some sort of issue, because a sane person, even if you did all that with good intentions, quote unquote, a sane person is not going to kill a child and then proceed to reproduce what caused you to kill that child 99 more times with 99 other children. That means you're doing that on purpose. Like,
Well,
100 times is on purpose. That's not an accident to me. She needs
yeah.
to be in jail.
I mean, I concur with that. This is not, three times,
3 times? No, not 3 times. Like, come on.
I'm saying 3 times is too much.
One time, after the first time, she should have fallen back, unless she's
Well,
really out there murdering people.
especially if you're not a medical doctor. You're not. She's not even considered a quack, right? So it's like, what are you doing? But again, there are other people that need to be implicated, and I don't know who those individuals are or organizations. But again, this was allowed to happen. This was allowed to take place. And again, outside of the people that we heard on
True.
the video clip on Al Jazeera, I mean, not a lot of people did what that sister did. She said, "No, I'm not going to work here because you're not qualified and you're killing babies. No, I'm I'm out of here." And
Well,
she
she
started an
says that she
organization
had
called,
medical staff.
white saviors. You know
Well,
what I
she
mean?
says
So,
she has medical staff though, and let me tell you something too. That's what I thought was weird too. Is okay, you guys. So first and foremost, she was taking children out of the hospital and bringing them to her private facility. This is why I'm saying this woman was purposely just killing Black children. Like that's what she was there for. You don't remove children from medical facilities and bring them to your private facility, and kids are just ending up dead and maimed at your hands, not like her staff was doing it, but like she was personally going and treating children and killing them.
but
Treating,
again, let's back up. Who the hell allows her to do this?
but
I'm
well, she's
thinking
a
about
white
this.
woman in Africa,
This
and
was
white
just
people have carte blanche to do whatever they want in
well.
those
That
places
was
in
even
Africa.
said, right? That was even said on the video. The white guy even said it. He was like, we feel like a rock star here. You know what I mean? Because people look to them as if they're the white savior. And
Well,
so,
they called themselves white saviors. I mean, that other
absolutely.
woman needed to be slapped. Y'all, we should have played this interview. This other woman was like, I had, basically the white savior complex and things like that, but I just had to learn, and I just wanted to like slap her in the face. Even white people are calling themselves white saviors now, y'all. This is getting out of control. Like,
But,
I cannot.
but again, I don't want to be on any conspiracy theory type of stuff. But again, so when we know there's a black market for organs and everything. I mean, organ stealing is a big deal, right? And so again, I'm just thinking, there's too many people that have to be complicit within this. And again, I mean, so she's what is that doctor that you see, Dr. Kevorkian? She's she's the 2019 Dr. Kevorkian, right? But again, she was allowed access. She was allowed entree into these babies. You know, so regardless of her quote unquote white savior status, again, this was allowed to happen. So I'm not caping for her. I think she should get the electric chair, something,
Well,
or
she could at least go to
she could
jail.
get whatever
She's
she's
not even in
given to
jail
those
right
children.
now. Let
You know
me
what I mean?
kill one person. Okay, let me even look like I'm trying to kill somebody. Let a Black person look like they thought that they might kill somebody white. We would be in jail before we could step a foot away from the scene. This woman has killed 100 children. She's not in jail. This is an American citizen. She's not in jail. She's not been sent back to Uganda. She's she's not like she's walking around free, and her hands have murdered at least 100 children and maimed several others. Like her personally have put hands on children and been the cause of their death. That's just insane to me. And there's a lawsuit. I'm like, screw a damn lawsuit. She needs to be in jail somewhere.
Well,
What is the lawsuit going to do?
well, I definitely concur with that. But again, I think she's just the start. Like I said, I think there's some other people that are definitely complicit within this whole racket here, and
Yeah.
everybody needs to pay the piper, because again, when we're talking about babies, especially, again, human lives are human lives, but again, I have a definitely soft spot for babies. And really, so you're coming to be this quote unquote altruistic white savior, and you're just a butcher.
But
You know
wait,
what I mean?
baby, think about this. Like, y'all, remember, she has a Black child that I would think that she kidnapped. Like me personally, this all sounds suspect to me. How she's talking about she found that little girl and wanted to find her mother. Like, I think she kidnapped the little girl. She is a United States citizen. How is she being accused of killing 100 Black children, and CPS hasn't taken that little girl out of the house? She still has the little Black girl. She still has the little Black girl she took from Africa. Like, make that make sense.
Well, they're probably saying that there was no like neglect, or she's not getting beat or anything like that.
But
You
she's
know,
accused of killing 100
I
children.
understand that, but you have to look at it.
What?
You
I
have to look at
think
the flip side of
if
that.
you've killed 100 children, that's
But
reason to
listen,
take your child out of the home. Like, if
but
that's
listen.
not a reason, what is the reason?
Well, we know things have to be flipped on its head, right? And you know, we know things are not accurately depicted. We know how things get propagated. But in this case, this little black girl is actually her savior. You know what I mean? So now she gets to use her as a shield. Like, look, I I rescued this little black girl and everything. Forget the fact that I killed hundreds of others, but look, this is my daughter right here. So she gets to show her around and everything. She gets to become emblematic. Gets to become this symbol of, again, further reifying this white savior. And that's how that is played out.
So I want to be clear so we know who we're talking about. The woman's name is Renee Bach, you guys. Her name is Renee Bach. And the name of the organization that she started, I don't want to get it wrong, is called Serving His Children. We really need to push for this organization to be shut down because it's an American nonprofit. Like, we haven't even shut here. So I can't control what Uganda does. You know, their leadership is trash. But in America, she's an American citizen. Her nonprofit is American. How is it not shut down? When the person who started the nonprofit murdered 100 children, how is the nonprofit not shut down? How come CPS is not at her door? It should be a questionable thing, and there should at least be an inquiry. Why can I say it? Inquiry into whether or not that little girl is safe, considering this woman has been accused of murdering 100 children and maiming many more. She may have a mental illness. At the very least, she might be crazy. There's not going to be a well child check for the little black girl she has.
No, absolutely not.
There's not going to be some verification that that little girl doesn't have a mother and that woman didn't steal that child.
Because that's a white woman you're talking about. What are you talking about? That's the safest place that little black girl could be, in the arms of a white woman rescuer, white woman savior. That's the best. She's better off than being with her mom right now, being with this white woman. And again, that's how society views it. She's better off being with this white woman. Now, I'm not saying I disagree with you, but again, we have to look at the societal lens, and they'll say that, oh yeah, she's okay. This white woman has it.
Yeah, this story is actually pretty crazy, you guys. Like I said, her name is Renee Bach. The name of the nonprofit is Serving His Children.
How? Serving children how?
Well, literally serving his children. She may be, passing them on to Bao, like, sacrificial murder. We don't know what this weirdo is doing. When you kill 100 people, y'all, come on now, 100 people, that's like a serial killer to me. Like, there's a profile to the kids she's killing. They're young, they're black, okay? So she sounds like a serial killer to me when I think of that, because you don't accidentally kill hundreds of people. You don't accidentally maim a bunch of black people. You just don't accidentally kill 100 black children. That's not an accident. You kill a child, then you kill another child, then you kill another child, then you kill another child. Like, she's killed 100 children over time. So I think that she's a serial killer. To me, that's a serial killer to me. And so we really have to push and be vocal. Like, we do so much stuff on social media, but we need to be very vocal about Serving His Children, getting that license pulled, because that's an American nonprofit, and she should not be able to keep a nonprofit. We should really push for a well child check to be done on that child, and for something to be looked in for that black child, little girl she has in her home, that little girl doesn't have a family somewhere. Because if she's psychotic enough to kill 100 children, to kill 100 black children, she should be nowhere near a black child. There's no way she should be sharing her space with that little black girl. We don't know how she got that little black girl, what she did to get that little girl that's inside of her house that she adopted. We don't know, because this woman has killed 100 other black kids. I mean, that's insane. That is literally insane to me. The fact that she's walking free on the earth, it like blows my mind. My mind is like literally blown by that. I can't even, like, I really can't understand how that's even possible.
Well, like I said at the outset, I mean, these things have happened, especially to Black people, or if you want to say minoritized people. I mean, of course, we're familiar with the Tuskegee Airmen. I mean, not the Tuskegee Project, right? That whole debacle. Um, we're familiar with the sterilization of, women in California prison, and this is, various minoritized women, whether it's African American, Asian, Latina. I mean, these things. I mean, this there's a consistency with, these eugenic practices. You know what I mean? These things still are very much. I hate to say it, but they're sick and well. I don't like to call it like some positive, like alive and well, but they're still sick and well, or sick, not well, but sick, and still very, pervasive.
And I want to say this too, because this is very important. This isn't even a question if she was, and most of the children that she killed were babies. She was killing
Yeah.
Black babies.
Yes.
She was killing Black babies. And this is not a question of whether or not she was actually doing medical work on these children, because she would do blog posts, and she has since deleted these blog posts, but nothing's ever gone on the internet. And in those blog posts, she's making comments like, I hooked the baby up to oxygen and got to work. I took her temperature. I started an IV. She has a high school diploma, y'all. She hooked up the baby to oxygen and got to work. That's what she's writing on her blog post. She's doing IVs. She's checking blood sugar. She's testing for malaria. She's checking their HB count. This is what her blog was saying. So this is not even a question of if she was performing things on these children.
She was.
There's some talk about her having been experimenting on these children.
Absolutely.
These are babies. She was killing, essentially, I don't know how many of the children weren't babies, but overall, from what I've read, that they were infants. She was murdering babies. She was experimenting and performing activities only a doctor or nurse should perform, or a physician's assistant should perform on Black babies, and then killing them. And then there are children walking around now where their parents are posting online who are mentally retarded after her experimentation on them, who have damaged limbs after her experimentation on them. And this is an American white woman walking free with a Black child whose mother she searched and searched for, but ultimately that little Black child ended up in her home and she adopted her, who has killed 100 Black babies and maimed how many more? And these are just the ones we know about, mind you. The 100, we're saying 100 because that's what we know about. I guarantee it was more than 100 because she started this back in 2007. And she was obviously real comfortable because she had a blog going. She was talking about what she was doing, even though she was not a medical professional. She had killed countless children. So she was comfortable with murder. And I think murder is like any sort of deviancy. When you get a taste for taking a baby's life, when her little, white hands got on a Black baby and killed that first baby and killed that second baby and killed that third baby and killed that fourth baby, I honestly, me personally, I can't prove this, but I suspect I'm correct that she just got a taste for murdering Black babies. Because that's the only way that you kill 100 babies. You have to have a taste for them. Because, a regular person, even if they had the best of intentions, after they killed one child, or if they were extra stupid after they killed 2 children, they would stop. She kept on, and Black babies kept dying at her hands.
Well, it definitely could have been some financial incentives in her doing this, right? Again, I don't disagree with anything you said. I think it has to be a really sick person and to keep doing the things that you're doing when it's in fact killing people, killing babies. So, but I just think this is more to it than just her sickness, right? I wouldn't give her all that credit, all that sick credit, because again, we know historically these things have happened, especially to Black people. You know, there's a documentary that your audience should be familiar with if they're not already. It's called "A Hole in the Head: A Life Revealed." This is about a gentleman by the name of Vertus Hardiman, and when he was in elementary school, again, this is the sick nature of these folks. They had I think he was like in the second or third grade at the time. They had him come into a room where it was like this was crazy room. And they thought we were going to see the nurse for something or other, like kind of similar to like the whole Tuskegee, you know, craziness. So they took these young, and it was boys primarily, took them into a room and they put radiation on their head. And then one of the nurse or doctor screamed, "Oh my God, I think you put too much." And so throughout his life, he wore wigs, had a hat on and everything, beanie on, just, you know, to try to hide this. And once you see this documentary, you're just going to say, first of all, you're going to be in tears, you know, especially with the courage that this gentleman just exuded. You know, not now he's much better than I. He's since passed. He was like 80 years old when he finally revealed, you know, and when you see it, it's grotesque and everything. But he didn't have any remorse. I mean, he didn't have any hard will for the people who did this to him. That couldn't be me. I would want to kill them, their family, and everybody else too. But again, that speaks to, you know, that just speaks to our xenophilia. I mean, our love for everybody, right? But people don't love us, and this is the case with this woman. You know, she started off at 18 doing this. I don't know how old she is now.
She's a serial killer.
But again,
I really believe that.
But it seems like they have a bunch of serial killing is part of their DNA. And I'll say
true though. No, that's true. I really believe that.
And so you can't participate in eugenics, right? You can't participate in all these horrific things that have happened historically where people have been, you know, just butchered. I mean, look at King Leopold, right? And just going into the Congo and just ravishing and pillaging and
chopping off arms and
eating, right? And practicing cannibalism and all this stuff, you know, all these things. So you have to look at, again, and I'm not painting everybody with a broad brush, but you have to look at some of the nature of some of these folks who have been exhibiting these types of activities for years. And so she falls in line with that ilk, right? And so it's really, definitely it's distasteful. But again, there's other people to be implicated in this, and definitely we need to start with her. I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, just to speak on the Ugandan government, I mean, I'm not talking about them because I know that they're trash. I know that it's very common, and I showed this map in another video. Let me see if I still have it, and I'll share it with you guys again. And let me share this map with you guys again. Because the reason I haven't said anything about the Ugandan government, oh, this is crazy. They want her organization shut down too, the parents. So the parents are on it, at least, even if the government's not. But the reason I haven't said much about the Ugandan government, and let me just go ahead and share this with you guys, is because, let me make this map smaller because it's a little too big. Can you guys see this map? So this is a map of Africa. And all of the countries in pink are the countries in Africa who have shut down the internet in the past 5 years because something was going on in their country they didn't want the world to know about. So that's why I'm not saying anything about Uganda, because there is a problem where the people and the government are not meeting minds, okay? Because the governments are corrupt and a lot of them are puppet governments for white countries. And so when you have a continent as large as Africa, and you can clearly see that 3/4 of the continent have been on internet blackout at one point or another to silence the people there, then what can I say about the government's doing what they're going to do? Because this is the kind of stuff that's going on in Africa right now.
Well, let me add on to that. So again, we're talking about the video that we both, well, I saw, you heard on what is it, Al Jazeera, right? And one of the sisters came up and came up with the organization called No White Saviors. Let me make sure I have the right title for it. Yeah, No White Saviors. And so just want to read a little bit from the website. So she says, many of us who have tried to hold Renee in the SHC accountable have been lambasted, yelled at and referred to as the enemy by supporters of Renee. The home church that Miss Batch attends in Jinaje, I may be mispronouncing that, as well as a significant portion of the missionary community there, supported and defended her. It seems as though missionaries have a selective tendency when it comes to following the laws of the land. Could you imagine a young Ugandan woman was experimenting with the medical procedures on their children and they ended up dying? The same missionaries who have stood by and justified these behaviors would not sleep until they got justice if it had happened to their children. What is worse, Renee's board of directors in America consisted of close friends and family members. When volunteers and employees would write to the board about the concerns, rather than holding Renee accountable, the board would find a way to get rid of anyone who was seen as quote critical of Renee's calling from God. And now that's scary because what they're doing and what they've done,
Renee was called by the devil.
They've done these things historically, right? Especially during enslavement, utilizing religiosity
right
to defend their barbarism, right?
Exactly.
And that's really scary. But again, a lot of people go in line with that, especially those people who are highly religious or kind of like cult-ish, if you will. And so this all gets excused because, this is ordained by God. And so that
murdering Black babies is not ordained by God. That's insane.
So, people will write up a Bible in a minute that will justify their actions.
So, they were writing to her family, so the concerns were never heard, possibly when love. Something else that No White Saviors wrote is they started reporting, because remember, all of the babies she hurt didn't die, right? So she killed 100 Black babies that we know of. I think she probably killed more because she's a serial killer and that's what they do. And she's been out there since 2007. But No White Saviors also wrote, some of Renee Bach's victims are still alive. This is Patricia left permanently disfigured after a botched blood transfusion performed by Renee. She didn't cross-match the blood because she's not a medical professional. The child had a horrible reaction and now lives with these scars. There's also another little boy named Masai that was left with irreversible physical and mental disabilities because of Renee Bach's botched medical experimentation. A former staff and the family of Masai report that Renee Bach was the one treating their child at serving his children. So the hashtag that is being used for No White Saviors is hashtag Renee Bach, BACH. And like I said, we have to use social media. Serving his children needs to be shut down. This is not a nonprofit in the United States that needs to exist. It needs to be shut down. Her licensing needs to be pulled. And in addition to that, we need to be calling for this woman to be arrested here in the United States. And for the Black child she has in her home, for a search to be made for that little girl's family, and a woman who is out there killing and maiming Black children by the hundreds should not have a little Black girl living with her. That's just insane to me. That's
But
like the craziest thing I've ever heard.
but these type of things are going to continue because again, on the website as well, and we spoke about this earlier. Um, the headings read: Ugandan woman watches 18-year-old American woman adopt children in her country, but is blocked from adopting herself. And again, I just read the first paragraph. It says a double standard for foreign nationals run deep, so deep that a young single American girl can travel to Uganda and take custody of 13 children, while a married, financial secure Ugandan woman is turned down for adoption in her own country. And again, these type of things are just, they're reified. They happen over and over again because again, white folks' eyes is always cooler. And again, this white savior thing is really, it's really rooted within the fabric of society, and a lot of Black people, we agree that that's always best too. And that's something that we have to check within our own selves.
Oh my gosh, this is so true. Like, I'm not even kidding. I literally just had a young Black girl on this channel today. Like, literally, as I was starting this live, she was still commenting, saying that, Black people are commit the most crime. They steal the most. And, my video about something was just going to give them more reason not to like us because we're already bad enough. And I was just like, girl, that's not true. Like, your people don't steal the most. White people actually in the United States steal the most. And if you count their mass land theft throughout the globe and resource theft throughout the globe, they take the title for that. White people actually commit more crime per capita, not Black people. That's a myth, like overall in all crime. And so this idea that white is better, even, I'm going to talk about this like in another video, you guys. Chrissy did a post on, interracial dating and how, because Black men are so horrible, Black women have other options. And all the comments in the comment section were about how they were going to date out because of their hatred for Black men. This decision-making process that's rooted in feeling that something is superior about another group of people is problematic across the board, which is why a white woman who had no experience with anything was able to, and I honestly believe she probably kidnapped that little girl, y'all. I believe this in my heart. From the little story she told about how she acquired the little Black girl that she adopted, that sounds like kidnapping to me. But, that's how she was able to get that Black child, start an organization as a teenager, go to Africa, and then proceed to murder a minimum of 100 Black children and maim countless others, and still walk away scot-free, keeping her organization here in America, keeping the Black child in her home, despite the fact that she's a serial killer who is murdering Black children, and was able to avoid being in jail. Like, this should not even be it blows my mind, but it's all because there's something in some of our people who believe and are driven by the belief that white is somehow better. Than when white people do it, it's okay. Then when white people are involved, it's a go. And it's a very unhealthy mentality. Very, very unhealthy. But I just want to say it again, y'all, because I just really, really hope that you guys do, like, if you have channels, that you make a video about it. If you have social media, you guys know I'm not on social media like that you guys, hashtag it and share the story. That Serving His Children, the nonprofit, it's a U.S. nonprofit, needs to be shut down, and that Renee Bach needs to be in jail. And we're going to need a well child check on that little girl in her home. Because if she's murdering Black children, she should not have a Black child in her home. That's crazy. That's something that should not go on. At the very least, that child should be removed, because it's not like she was accused of murdering one person. She's been accused of murdering 100 people and maiming countless others. So if that's not a reason to remove a child until things get sorted out, I don't know what is, especially when the profile of the children she's murdering matched the profile of the little girl in her home, as in a child and Black. I think it's really atrocious. And you know what? To murder a baby out of all things is insane. And you would have to be on some other stuff to try to give a child a blood transfusion when you're not a doctor. Like, who does that? You know what I'm saying? Like, that is crazy. That woman needs to be in jail. Can you just imagine a white woman taking your child to her facility and then your child just dies? Your baby just dies there? And she just gets away with that time after time after time after time after time. That woman is a serial killer. That's all there is to that.
You sound like Cyndi Lauper right now. So yeah, I just, I don't know. So in the months to come, because I think her court case is like scheduled for January or something like that.
Yeah, but it's just she's just being sued, y'all. It's not like she's in jail. She's just being sued.
Yeah. So I mean, this is just very. I mean, it's still very it's still early in the game, right? So we don't even know what's going to take place. But again, we see that the way she has this protection, right, outside of her, complexion, but the way the board is structured, the way in which if you say anything, there's going to be this, this vindictive acts are going to be, thrusted upon you if you say anything critical of her, And so she has a protection. She's pretty much, inoculated from, anything that could happen to her, because clearly she has some type of power within Uganda, the board. And so, yeah, I just think somebody
has the power of being white in Uganda. Can I ask you something though, Ben, what you think about something? So, I'm sorry?
Go ahead.
So Angela Walker said they are Africans, not Black African Americans, ADOS, so American descendants of slaves. Africans are different from Black African Americans, the United States and South American, Europe, and Caribbean islands. I don't know. I don't want to assume that I know where you're going with that, Angela. Are you saying we shouldn't care? Are you saying we shouldn't call them Black? I'm not sure where you're going with that. Do you think that it matters, babe?
Absolutely not. I'm going to quote, what is it? Q-Tip or Five Dog? No, black is black. And so I don't care where you are. And see those, and again, I can't speak for the young lady either, but when we have those type of bifurcation, that type of ideology, well, you're not really black. And that becomes really problematic, because we do have some, brothers from the continent and sisters come from the continent. They may perceive us as one way and vice versa, right? But that doesn't get us anywhere, and here's what I mean by that. So you have somebody from Africa, from the continent coming up, they're over here. And we have a lot of international students here. And an international student said this from Africa when he attended our BSU meeting. He was like, I used to think, because I was African, I was different. But he said, after police sees me and everything, they're not going to see me as African. They're going to see me as black.
They just see you as black.
And so it really doesn't matter, So him being African is really inconsequential in that situation, because he's a melanated brother, and that's the bottom line. And so what we try to do within, the institution where I work and within the BSU is try to reduce and just completely eliminate those bifurcations that do exist. I mean, there's some people, here in the States, of course, Black people that feel some type of a way towards Africans, and vice versa. I mean, that is a real thing. But again, it's not a monolithic thing. It's not just the whole of how, Black people Africans from the continent and African Americans here view each other. And, I was a living testimony to that. right? And so I think we should care regardless. They're black people, wherever they are. I mean, we should have this kind of Pan-African ideology. It's like, hey, we're black, we're black, we're black, and we need to support us when and whatever we can. And so I don't look at that, with some type of distinction. Well, they're Ugandans, they're Africans. All right, so what? No big deal.
So, I'm going to give my final words on this. My final words on this are saving his children should be shut down. Renee Bach needs to make a list somewhere. She needs to be on somebody's list. We need to definitely see her in jail. The little girl that lives in her home that she is quote unquote adopted needs to be removed ASAP. And she needs to pay. She needs to pay. There needs to be a penalty. Like the death penalty should be attached to this because she has killed at least 100 black babies. She's a serial killer. This woman is a serial killer. And she's fond of killing black babies, literally. And so that needs to be dealt with because she's not the only one. And this cannot just fly. And because she's an American citizen and because she's here, that little girl's here, her organization is here. This is where she initiated it. There's some stuff that can be done on American soil, and that needs to be done. Because if we can provoke something happening here, Uganda will simply fall in line because, they're going to do whatever we want them to do. Right? But if we're going to let it slide, they're definitely going to let it slide because the Ugandan government is trash. So that's my final word on it. Like, she's a serial killer. There's like a bona fide white woman out here. She is a serial killer and she likes to kill black babies, literally. It's really disgusting. That's my final word on it.
Well, my concluding thoughts, like I alluded to earlier, is that.
Oh, when Love said her passport should also be taken. Truth. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. Concur. Yeah. It's difficult for me to get one, but this person get one. Anyway, like I said earlier, it has definitely broader implications. It definitely does. She definitely should be held accountable for what she's doing, and what she has done. Yeah, and I definitely think, with that last comment, I definitely think we should definitely be concerned about the things that are happening, within the States with black people, right? We should definitely be in tune and, aware of situations that happen domestically, right? But that doesn't mean that we turn a blind eye, to our brothers and sisters catching hell, throughout the globe, and especially within the continent of Africa. And so I just think that could be a very dangerous, stance or orientation to have. So back when Oprah opened up her school, and I forget which country in Africa for the girls, she took a lot of backlash, for opening up a school because
I think that was right though. She should have got backlash for that.
And I'm not. I'm finished. She took a lot of backlash for that, and Oprah's I think she's a billionaire, right? So my thing is, yeah, she could do whatever she wants to. As for a person like me being in education, I definitely saw, the urgency because I'm here, right? I live here in the States, for her to do it here. You know what I mean? Not to say that she couldn't have done it there sometime, but I definitely, with her influence and with her wealth, and not to say that she hasn't done anything, to help,
Well,
black.
Oprah's a trash human being, but
Well,
if she was going to open a school, I think it should have been here.
well, and I'm saying that, and I agree. I'm saying that. I'm not calling her trash. Like Irene is
Yeah,
just
I'm
so
calling her
politically
trash,
incorrect.
though.
But so she took a lot of backlash for that, and I think I agree. I think she should have opened up the school here. But I say that to say this: we still shouldn't have this bifurcation. You know what I mean? So just because I'm taking care of my immediate family first doesn't mean I don't
Right.
care about my extended family. You know what I mean? It means that I
True.
need to take care of this
True.
first. And I think sometimes we get those situations, misconstrued, as if we don't care about them. No. I mean,
Exactly.
it's like what they say on an airplane. We love our kids. We love our kids to life, right? But what do they say? You put the mask over yourself first and then help them.
Yes.
And
Right.
so I
Exactly.
think that's what we need to remember when we're going to try to have this bifurcation between our brothers and sisters from the continent and African Americans, right? So we just need to be mindful of those type of things. And again, when we're able to help our brothers and sisters in the continent or throughout the globe, I think we should. But of course, we should be able to take care of our brothers and sisters here, first. And I'm pretty sure they will have the same mentality. I mean, I speak to a lot of students. They're over here getting their education and they want to go back home to become lawyers and build hospitals and things like that. And I say they should be doing that. Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with that, right? And so I think we just need to make sure we're in line as far as collaboration and supporting each other and not trying to have this further bifurcation. But as far as this loan, yes, I don't think she should be in jail. I think she should be given the death penalty.
Yeah, she should get the death penalty.
I
Yeah.
think she should give. I think she should receive whatever she's been given to these, hundreds, of babies that she killed.
Yeah.
Because
She needs to pay for that with her life. She definitely should not be walking free right now. You don't get to murder 100 babies and just walk free on the street. We cannot let that be cool. This
yeah,
should be an outrage from the Black community because you let one of them walk around free, being known to have murdered 100 Black babies and maimed countless others, and none of us will be safe. Like, we will not be safe. Period.
absolutely.
You can't just have an American white woman walking around who's put her hands on 100 Black babies and murdered them, just walking the street free and think that it's going to be cool for us as a people. That's going to be a landslide that we don't want to get started. We don't want to make it be cool to have people just walking free, living their life safely, after having murdered 100 Black babies. Like, that cannot be.
It cannot be, and a board should be implicated, and like everybody associated with her that stayed there, stuck around, and was complicit in that, and they
Yep.
knew that there was wrongdoing. Unlike this is right here, she was like, "Nah, you killing me. I'm out. This is not right. And as a matter of fact, not only am I going to leave, but I'm going to blow the whistle on this and call some attention to it." And again, it's people like this sister right here that we should be supporting and helping to get this resolved, right?
Right.
But that's not the case. But yeah, those are my final thoughts.
All right. Well, with that said, y'all, we're going to get out of here. Thank you for joining us tonight. And we will talk to you guys later.
Thank you for having me on your show.
Baby, you're so silly. Thank you for coming. I appreciate your time. Bye, y'all.